It really helps when I put us on the screen, everybody. It is Jason and John. Welcome back to Mattalk. I don't know what happened. I was just so enthralled with the intro music. I always get into it every time we listen to it. It never gets old. And I was really jamming out over here and forgot to put us on the screen. So, John, how are you?
No, I'm doing well, man. How was the holidays for you?
They were good. It
Okay.
it see, you get to experience the holidays a bit differently than I do because you get the week off. Like you can have the holiday time. And for me, it's like you work on Christmas Eve, you're off on Christmas Day, you're back to work the day after. And it just a lot of ways feels like it's just another
Yeah,
day. And it
yeah,
sucks. I miss the build up to Christmas. It just hits you. It hits you like a ton of bricks when it happens, and it sucks. Like I Christmas is one of my favorite times of the year. I went and saw Wicked again, so that was really cool. Did it with my daughter. Yeah, it was good. How was yours?
Well, mine was uneventful. Visited the folks up in Rhode Island and came back and actually wanted to happily announce this that I spent New Year's Eve catching up on the new Matlock. I had 3 episodes left to go to get caught up, and my girlfriend and I, that's what we did for New Year's Eve. We got a pizza, we sat on the couch, we watched Kathy Bates, and man, oh man, that is a marvelous show. I'm glad I'm all caught up, and I apologize for falling behind. But you know how it is, man. You agree with someone, like a significant other, that hey, let's watch this show together, and that's what we agreed with. But then you got to try to schedule it, and sometimes scheduling doesn't work, if you will. And so that's why I was behind. But man, I'm glad I'm all caught up. I'm looking forward to January 30th when the new one comes out, and I only have one complaint. Can I give my complaint?
Sure.
I'm not a real big fan of Bo Bridges in his role. There's something about he just seems very one dimensional in the character, not so much Bo Bridges portraying the character. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him. Thankfully he doesn't have a lot of screen time. But I'm not a big fan of the old man.
Well, he hasn't really had much to do on the show
Well,
yet.
that's true. Maybe if there was some more storyline with him, maybe I would see that he's not as one dimensional as I think.
Yeah, I'm really digging it. He hasn't bothered me at all. We'll see where it goes. I'm kind of curious what a season 2 looks like because, I assume the mystery we're working on right now will get resolved at the end of season 1, as usually does with these kind of procedural type shows. So, like, once she's found out, like, what happens? Like, how do we have a season 2? But I'm very curious where we go from here. I checked out The Last Showgirl today, and it was phenomenal.
Oh,
Absolutely phenomenal.
folks, we're just rolling right into what you're watching. I didn't even ask him. We're just rolling right on into it. So go ahead.
Dude, I was blown away. It's called The Last Showgirl. It's not one of those movies that's excessive nudity from front to end. It's not even about that. It is really, really well done. Jamie Lee Curtis is really good in it. Billy Lord is really good in it. Dave Bautista is fantastic in this movie. I highly recommend everybody go check it out. It's one of the early Oscar movies, and it's solid. I really dug it.
You didn't tell everybody that Pam Anderson's in it, because isn't she in it?
I thought I said that. Sorry, I went straight to Bautista. No, Pamela Anderson, man, the performance of a lifetime in here. I don't know if she'll win the Academy Award, but it was really, 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 she did an amazing job.
I'm the wrestling nerd. I'm supposed to be the one to focus on Dave Bautista and overlook everybody else. Come on, man.
Well, Bautista, he blows me away because when he came out in Guardians of the Galaxy, like he wasn't the strongest actor, but James Gunn was good at playing to his strengths. Like, this is how we need to use him. He's good in this. But as Bautista's career has progressed, this man has put in the work to be better each time he's on screen, and he really is really good in this. I'm shocked.
Well, I think that we have a comment from Daniel before we get too far along, and he's saying hello. And Daniel, welcome. You're going to stick around because I know, Daniel, you have some things to say about this episode. I know it. Even if you didn't watch it as recently as we have, I think you're going to have some comments. But so, what else besides The Last Showgirl have you been watching, Jason?
Dexter has been really good. I'm digging that. Each episode, I like it more and more. Not much, man. I'm gearing up for Orlando. Justin and I are on our way to Decade Days on the 22nd, and that's going to be super excited.
Now, let's let the folks know, what is that?
It is a con in Orlando. It's going to have Josh Holloway from Lost is like the main guy there because he's never done a con before. And if you guys know me, big Lost fan. And it's got a bunch of actors. My daughter's super. Drake Bell is going to be there, a bunch of other people. But go to decadedays.com, support our friend Autumn. It's her first con by herself, and I'm very, very excited to go check it out. And to hang out with Justin again and watch him get 3 hours of sleep in a week.
The man is a machine.
He is a machine. He's the Energizer Bunny, man.
Well,
he's like, all right, guys, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go back to the hotel now. Justin, we're going to go to this new bar. Fine, I'll go with you guys.
Well, Decade Days sounds like a fun convention. It's all, old TV shows and movies, if I remember correctly. So it should be a good one. I hope you guys have a great time, and no doubt, if you're in the Florida area, the Orlando, Florida area, definitely check it out. What was that website again?
Decadedays.com. Okay. DAYS.
Okay. All right. I actually have something else I've been watching. I've watched a bunch of movies, but I'm going to be honest with you. Out of the 4 movies, 3 of them, well, one of them was okay. One of them was good. One of them was okay. And 2 of them were dogs. 2 of them were terrible. And I'm not even going to waste time on the 2 terrible ones. I'm just going to gloss them over. They're older films from the 70s that I thought sounded really good when I read the premise, but just the execution of both of those films fell apart. But I'm going to talk about the one that you recommended to me. And I took a little bit of time out to watch Transformers 1. And I have to say that that was a really good Transformers tale. Now, I've not seen Bumblebee. I've heard very good things about Bumblebee, but I've only seen the Transformers movies. And I got to say that Transformers 1 is the best Transformer movie ever.
I personally prefer Bumblebee more, but Bumblebee, Transformers 1, and then I even put the Beast one that came out a couple years ago. They're all up there pretty close to each other, but Transformers 1 is very, very good.
Yeah, it is excellent. I liked the tale. I was a little bit confused at the beginning, but it all works itself out, ladies and gentlemen. You might be confused and might be saying, where are my Autobots and Decepticons I grew up with? Well, they're there. You just got to kind of let the story unfold a little bit. And once it does, then you're off on nostalgia trip for sure. So I've been watching that. And like I said, a couple of other movies that I don't really feel the need to go into because, again, it just wastes up time and they're not worth it.
What was the okay one?
Okay, the okay one, I watched, it's called Crack House. It's a blaxploitation film from 1989, starring Jim Brown, Richard Roundtree, a.k.a. Shaft, and Angel Tompkins. Look, it is your stereotypical 80s. It was like Diet New Jack City. That's what I'm going to say. So it was fine. It was okay. It was one of the last Canon features, which I'm fascinated by the history of that film company. If you've ever seen, there's a documentary out there about the Canon films. I don't remember the title of it. I think it's like the Weird and Wild World of Canon Films. It's a great documentary. I highly recommend it. I think we have another comment from Daniel. I rewatched Natural Born Killers this week, going through the miniseries North and South right now. And then I've got roughly 3 seasons left of Dallas, and then I plan on watching through The Walking Dead. All
right, Daniel, this is my advice on The Walking Dead. Just prepare from seasons like 5 to 8. It's going to become very repetitive. But I've heard once, I can't spoil it, but there's a moment where somebody leaves the show and it gets, from what I've heard, it gets exponentially better. But the spinoffs, the Daryl and the Negan spinoff that's out now, they're both really good. So like it does get better, but there's a lull in the middle of the show that's rough.
Yeah, I was going to say good luck on that one. You're a brave man, Daniel, because I threw in the towel, I think season 6. I was like, I'm done. I can't. It's the same stuff over and over again. So thank you. You put that much more eloquently than I could, Jason.
I hung in there because I really liked Negan, the character. I like that actor.
Oh, well, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is one fantastic actor for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, I think we got everything out of the way, what we've been watching, you know, our general opening. So I think that leaves us with getting into our opening statements. This episode of Matlock Jason is entitled The Dame, and its original air date was November 15th, 1991. And we have a couple of very interesting guest stars. In fact, I'm going to jump out here and go ahead and name the one that is probably most known and also has a unique footnote to her career. I'm talking about Sheree J. Wilson, who will be playing the role of Claire Mayfield. You may know her as April Stevens on Dallas, Alex Cahill on Walker, Texas Ranger, Sarah Morgan in The Gun Down, and a handful of other roles. She only has 38 credits. But if you check out those credits, you'll see that I forget how many, like almost 100 some odd episodes in Walker, Texas Ranger, and again, a truckload of episodes of Dallas because she was a major player on that show. So I thought it was interesting. I just kind of assumed that she had a longer list of accomplishments and accolades, and just was shocked that there was only 38.
It's fascinating she didn't come back for the Dallas reboot, but she was in Easy Rider too, John, and Christmas Bell, which I've seen Christmas Bell. I don't remember her in it, but I've seen that movie.
Is that one of those Hallmark movies that you're fond of?
Of course it is. Of course it is, my friend.
All right. Well, let's talk about another guest star. His name is Richard Burgi, I believe is how it's pronounced, Burgi. He will be playing the role of Roger Stratford. You may know him as Carl Mayer on Desperate Housewives, Charles in The Green Inferno, Todd in Hostel 2, Ashlyn Locke on The Young and the Restless, Jim Ellison on The Sentinel, Paul Hornsby on General Hospital, D.A. Dan Russell on Body of Proof, Craig Martin in the film Cellular, and many, many other roles. So this guy,
very nice.
Yeah, you had me at Desperate Housewives because I was like, that's where I know him from, because I watched Desperate Housewives and even muscled through the last season and a half, because that's last, say, 2 seasons was pretty awful.
I don't remember the last 2 seasons, but I really liked that show.
I did too. I liked it a lot. So I think we have another comment, as I'm certain of it, a.k.a. Pamela Ewing too. Yes. April Stevens, and I'll have Daniel correct me if I'm wrong, was a character that was involved with Bobby Ewing in kind of a little bit of a tryst. Am I right on that, Daniel? If memory serves me right? Let us know in the comments there real quick. So
John's just like, I'm going to get silent while we wait for Daniel to talk. This doesn't make good podcasting, John.
No.
If you just sit here in silence waiting.
I wasn't sure how to handle that. You're right. You got me on that one. So, you know what?
About to pull Justin on screen to talk to him while you wait in silence. Like, hey, man, how you doing?
You know what?
John just wants to sit here and wait for Daniel's comments.
Well, you know what? We'll move on to another guest star because we have a couple more here. Daniel Benzali will be playing the role of Henry Mansfield. You may know him as Theo Hoffman on General Hospital, Thomas Valente on Jericho, James Sinclair Esquire on NYPD Blue, Robert Quinn on The Agency and The District. That's interesting because isn't The District a spinoff of The Agency, I believe?
I have not heard of either one.
Oh, I have. Before. They were CBS crime procedurals. And then he was also known as Ted Hoffman. Weird that he was Theo Hoffman and also a character named Ted Hoffman on Murder One and several other roles. Daniel has responded to us. Let's bring up his comment. I think you're right because she messed with both Cliff and JR. Yes. Okay. Yeah, she was getting around, if you will. Anyways,
he was in a very, very underrated Eddie Murphy movie, in my opinion, called The Distinguished Gentleman, which I absolutely love. That movie. Is so funny.
Okay.
A congressman dies, and Eddie Murphy's character has the same name. So they put him on the ticket so they can stay in power.
Oh, I just heard about that from somebody else. Someone else in casual conversation brought up that movie, and I'm like, huh? Okay. All right, I didn't know that was what it was called. All right, and our last guest star is Steve Whitting as young Ben Matlock. Now, a little interesting side note here. He will be young Ben Matlock in this episode and in an episode in season 8, where he plays, again, young Ben Matlock. But you may also know him, as Dr. James Schoen in The Killers of the Flower Moon, Donnie Shore on Tulsa King, Herbert Zucker on The Outsider, Wally on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Judge Miller in The Irishman, SEC Attorney 2 in The Wolf of Wall Street, Martin on Family Matters, and a few other roles as well. Is there any that you would like to discuss for Mr. Whitting?
No, man, you covered, you went through his whole thing. He was in The Irishman.
I did mention that.
But yeah, you covered everything.
Yeah, I believe it or not, I know people are going to say I'm full of crap, but I vividly remember him in The Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know why, but I was like, yeah, he was in that. I didn't remember him being an attorney, but I for some odd reason remembered that. Well, Jason, I think it's time for us to talk about. Justin just said I am full of it. Anyways, Jason, I think it's time for us to sit down here and for me to ask you a question, a very important question. Are you ready to give me an opinion? Your opinion, and solely your opinion, so help you.
Let's wait for Daniel Snow to let us know. I'm just kidding. Let's testify.
Testify. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have another comment from our good man, Daniel Snow. If we could bring that up real quick. I think it was about Mr. Whitting. He's the guy who got his nose bitten by Danny DeVito in Batman Returns. Well, it's been a hot minute since I've seen Batman Returns. I gotta confess, I was unaware of that. All right, well, let's talk about the plot of this episode. Ben tells Julie about a time when him and his father investigates the death of a friend. So this whole episode is going to be cutting back and forth between Ben and Julie having brunch. All right. So we go to the opening scene. It's a scene of flowers, of drinks, cigarettes, an ashtray, lipstick and pearls. And of course, then it cuts to the B-roll footage of Atlanta traffic that doesn't really happen, as I complain about every single time they use that B-roll. We go to a fancy restaurant where Julie and Ben are making their selections for their brunch. Ben's really not having this. He doesn't like what's on the menu. In fact, I got to be honest with you. It seemed like they were just making crap up. Like none of that stuff would ever be something that you would eat, right? It was like avocado with French
maybe.
Toast.
People do that, but I wouldn't eat avocado. I don't like avocados. I think guacamole is so overrated. I don't know what's up with white people and guacamole suddenly, but
I agree with you 100% on that. Same here.
So overrated.
Yeah. Now, Julie, says that she found out about this restaurant from some restaurateur that did an interview in some magazine. And she tells Ben that she could tell him where the best hot dog place is. And that kind of quiets Ben up. But then a woman in red shows up at their table, right? And she says, "Are you Ben Matlock?" And he says, "Yes." And then slap right to the face. This woman slaps Ben stupid. Now, how about that for a way to kick off this episode, Jason?
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell did he do to her? I thought maybe it was an ex-girlfriend or something.
I wasn't sure who it was, but I think we have a comment from Liz. I used to work in a hotel that had a brunch like this, and I can smell that scene. Smells like cooking spray and old lady perfume. I don't know why that's so funny, but it makes me chuckle.
Fact. I know what she's talking about when she says old lady perfume. And you know what? I've realized in these days, having kids and grandparents for my kids and so forth, is remember going to visit your grandma? I don't know if it's you, maybe it's just because I was in an Italian family, but I'd go visit my grandma and then they kiss your cheeks and you'd have lipstick all over your face. Like that doesn't happen anymore. Like people have learned lipstick control since the 90s.
Okay, this could cause us to be derailed here, but yeah, my grandparents were already deceased by the time I was a kid. So like they died when I was like, well, one set on my father's side were dead before I was even born. And then when I was 5 was when my other grandparents passed away. So for me, I had that experience with an aunt. I had an aunt that would do that. She was very Italian as well. And she would do the whole, Johnny. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And I was like, ugh, yeah.
Lipstick.
Yep. Yep. So Ben is clueless as to why this woman slapped him, but then he is sitting there and we intercut the scene of the brunch with this black and white of a woman that we will come to know as Claire. And Ben is stunned. He is just stunned. And he tells Julie, he goes, I think I know who it is. And he starts telling the tale about Henry Mayfield and about how he was the richest man right next to Harlan, Georgia, where Ben grew up. And he was a very wealthy businessman. And he had a very young wife, as Henry was not so young. And that was Claire. And so in this scene that takes place in Henry's mansion, Claire returns home and Henry starts to make accusations that she has been cheating on him. Claire says, you know that that's not true. You know where I was tonight. I was at the women's group, I guess, which is kind of a volunteer community service type of setup. And I can't believe that you would accuse me of these things. And how quickly Henry turns and, oh, I'm so sorry. Because she threatens, like, why don't you call and find out where I was? Call so-and-so. And then he's, oh, my goodness, I'm so sorry. I just get jealous, blah, blah, blah. And Jason, I know you have a comment here. And I think we have a comment from Daniel as well to address. But go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say that it says here that it's revealed that Ben Matlock's mom has died in this episode. But in the pilot, it's established that his mother is still alive.
Really? Interesting. Well, Daniel said you forgot to mention that Julie Summers is a guest star as well. Yeah, we haven't seen Julie in a while, and he's stealing your stuff, Jason. How does that make you feel?
He stole my joke.
It's all right. Fine. Well,
I like
that. As for those folks that don't know, he likes to steal my stuff, my lines, my catchphrases. So then we cut to a scene where Claire's in a nightclub, and she keeps eyeing up the piano player, the pianist, if you will, who would be later named as Roger Stratford. And these two start flirting heavy, do they not? I mean, it was kind of getting a little bit hot in that bar. But then all of a sudden, Claire throws a drink in his face and then storms off. I wrote down here, so far in this episode, we've had a lot of people changing their minds. Henry changed his mind about his wife. His wife changing her mind about, having an affair, a fling with Roger. But the next scene is Roger and Claire. They meet up at his apartment. Basically, she apologizes and she was like, oh, I'm sorry. But those people that walked in, because they show a scene right before she throws the drink in Roger's face, where these people enter and they're supposedly like big wigs and they're supposedly connected to Henry somehow. She couldn't have them, seeing her flirt. You get an idea that there's some type of plan between these two, just because they're so lovey-dovey and they're talking about how things need to change and things will be over soon and you wait till Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera. And so something's happened here. Daniel has another comment here real quick. Let's pull it up if we can, Justin. That darn sexual content from Matlock will get you every time. Well, hey, you know what? Let's throw it out there. Sheree J. Wilson is a very attractive young lady. I mean, am I wrong on that one, Jason?
Yeah, no, she is. It'd make me rethink my no more relationships for the rest of my life stance.
Well, Sheree J. Wilson, if you're out there, Jason would would like to talk to you. Maybe take you out for brunch. Maybe, I don't know.
I'd love to. BENMATTALK@gmail.com. Or you can slide into my DMs on social media at 3geeksj. Say hi. Hi, John.
3 Geeks J.
JAY. It's spelled out.
Okay. Anyways, or don't forget, you can also contact us through the Facebook page at Mattalk Podcast. So we cut to another scene back at the mansion. And Claire is talking about how hot it is. And she goes over to like the French doors to the patio and opens them up. And you can see that Roger is sneaking around out in the shrubs. And so that's how he's going to enter the house. So he does. And we get a really neat way that they shot this where you don't really see what happens. It's inferred that he beats him to death with some type of club. But they shoot it in a very like Alfred Hitchcock way where it's more like shadows and whatnot. So I really like that. I thought that was kind of cool. So their plan is to make this death look like a suicide. And so how do they do that? Well, basically, Roger and Claire, they leave the mansion and they take Henry's car. And Roger pretends to be Henry. And so he takes his wife to this big gala and lets her out. And then he drives back, gets the dead body of Henry, puts him in the front seat, puts his foot on the accelerator, throws the car into gear, and over the hill it goes and it crashes. And I expected, like The Simpsons, it would explode into flames, but sadly it did not. So,
it's funny. I'm not going to give anything away, but the moment watching this, I'm like, did they check where the seat was before they threw him over? Because in every single cop show, that's what gets the bad guy is this guy wasn't that big. Like, why is his seat all the way back to the back row? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like Hightower was driving the car.
Oh, nice. Police Academy reference. Thank you. Nice.
Yeah.
Deep cut on that one. After this, it is explained that the life insurance people, they can't find anything. It's a suicide to them. The cops, they just say, hey, it's a suicide. Even though there's no suicide note. I thought that was a little bit odd, by the way. But everybody believes the story that, hey, Henry was distraught. He killed himself.
I mean, it makes sense. And there's not always a suicide note.
No, I just think it's the cliche that there's a suicide note. Nonetheless, the insurance company, though, does bring the busted up car to Charlie Matlock's garage. Now, who is Charlie Matlock, you may ask? It's Ben's dad. And he owns a service station.
Yeah, I think we've been watching. I think this entire show has been about Charlie Matlock. I think he got rid of his son and just assumed his identity. And that's what we've been watching this whole time. I got to hand it to Andy Griffiths because I don't know what he did. And maybe it's just because it was in black and white. But he did pull off the sense that it could be somebody else. Like, I believe that I wasn't watching Ben Matlock, other than maybe the voice, but he did a very good job of the appearance.
Yes, I agree with that, and I think you're right. I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think that the fact that it was shot in black and white added a different mood and different tone to the show, and made it something different. But I will say this though, especially like when the car goes over the hill and rolls, I did feel though that shot in itself and a few others were kind of really hard to make out what was happening because it was shot in black and white. So while black and white was a good thing in my mind, it was also kind of a negative too. So, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. My question is this, and I didn't look it up, but that car is jacked up. Did insurance companies not total cars back in the 1940s? I don't know. I mean, because I was like, that car should be totaled and a check written, but I guess that maybe that's something that doesn't happen back in those days. That must be a more modern deal. I don't know. Well, Charlie knew Henry. In fact, it's revealed that Henry helped Charlie pay for law school so that he could have Ben go to law school in Harvard. But Charlie is busy talking to the sheriff, and he's like, look, something don't make sense. There's no skid marks. There's no tire wear from where there would be skid marks. Like, it looks like somebody like legitimately like he drove over the cliff, and that bothers Charlie, right? Even though the sheriff's like, whatever. But Charlie's like, no, look, he just got new tires. He got a new tune-up a couple of days before he killed himself. Why would you do that? Why would you do that if you were just going to off yourself?
Can't take your money with you,
That's
John.
true. So Ben shows up, or as I abbreviate, BM2, because BM is my abbreviation when I take notes for Ben Matlock. So this is BM2. He shows up in the mansion to chat with Claire. Now, my question was, why was he going there? Like, I guess we just assume that he was going there to pay his condolences after he got into town. But I kind of felt like there was a little bit of wishy-washiness there, if you will.
No, I think he was going there to. I think I got the impression that she called him there just to let him know that, you know, she was still going to honor the paying for law school.
Yeah. You know what? I bet that was it. I overlooked that. Yeah, because the estate is going to keep Ben Matlock at Harvard. Gotcha. Good catch.
Yeah, and this Ben Matlock's not very good at investigating, folks.
Well, Charlie and Ben, they talk about how Ben, has all A's. And Charlie was surprised that Ben came back for the summer, but you know, nothing happens in Harlan. But Charlie continues to give his theory about the crime. In fact, as you mentioned, Jason, of course, the trope of the seat is too far back for Henry. Like he wouldn't have even been able to reach the pedals. And then Ben brings up there's cigarettes. Look at these cigarettes. 4 or 5 of these cigarettes have lipstick on them. One doesn't. Henry smokes a pipe, so none of that one cigarette couldn't be his. The way they were put out were different. So somebody had to be in that car.
It's unfiltered, too.
It's an unfiltered cigarette. And you know that because you smash them down? How do you know that?
Because I used to smoke. I used to smoke, and I still fantasize about smoking. Like, just because I've quit doesn't mean I don't still get like, and, like look at it. Like,
how do you know? How do you know they weren't filters though? Is it because they crushed the one?
It's because there's no filter on the end. It just looks like the same on each side. Like you can light either side of it. Back then, filters were a lot rarer than they are now. Like it's the opposite now.
I learned something today, folks. Thank you, Jason. Nonetheless, they're wondering if there's any fingerprints on the cigarettes. But we cut to a scene where Roger and Claire are smooching, and then Roger hides because the doorbell rings, and lo and behold, it's Charlie Matlock, who has a box, and it's all the stuff that was in Henry's car that he was trying to return. And Claire, I think it was funny that she tries to hide the glass so there wouldn't be 2 glasses out, and as Charlie unpacks the box. And then Charlie shares his theory with Claire about what happened, right? He being, of course, Charlie, notices there are cigarettes in the ashtray. And so he says his theory and he leaves. And then Roger comes out from the back room and is very worried about Charlie snooping around. Claire, though, underestimates him and is like, whatever, he's just an old man. He's fine. He's got nothing on us. We're Teflon, man. I know Teflon didn't exist back then, but nonetheless. So the Matlocks, they talk to the representatives of the women's group and they ask about, hey, you know, was there a taxi here? Did it drop off Claire? And Claire all of a sudden comes out of the house and is just an absolute maniac. How dare you accuse me of having something to do with the death of Henry? How dare you? I am a grieving woman. And she plays it up big time.
She does, yeah. No, she's overly mad because he didn't really like point it at her, did he? He just mentioned that I think there's suspicion.
Yeah, he said, you know, if you could you tell who was driving Claire? And they were like, well, it's a man, you know, but it wasn't Henry, you know. And they say something about the fact that he didn't have his spectacles on, he didn't have glasses on or whatnot. So, I mean, yeah, she flies off the handle really, really quickly. And more importantly, let's talk about the big question here in this scene. Mount Harlan has a cab service? This is a podunk little town. We've seen it before. They have a cab service?
I mean, maybe. I'd have to get a time machine, go back to the 40s and let you know.
I am town shaming. Justin, I am. He accused me of town shaming. I'm just saying, you know, you go to a small little podunk town like Bloomingdale, Ohio, There ain't nobody that's an Uber driver in Bloomingdale, because it's such a small little town. So Harlan has a taxi.
I feel like Charlie Matlock would have had an investigator.
You're switching things on. You want me off the okay? Never mind. I'm done with the taxi cabs. All right, I'm taking your hint.
He is. Sorry, it just came to my head. I had to say it out loud. It was an inside thought that came out loud. But
well, the cabbie is no help in identifying Roger. Ben thinks though that they can trick Roger and Claire. All right. So Claire, she's at the house, at the mansion. She gets the newspaper. She opens it up. She reads it. And inside, there's a note in it saying, "Meet me at my place at 4 p.m." So Claire gets in the car and leaves. She goes to Roger's apartment, but nobody's home. So the Matlocks, meanwhile, are out doing what Conrad would be doing, of course, keeping an eye on Claire. And she leaves. The Matlocks, they go and get the name off the mailbox. Oh, excuse me. Roger returns to his apartment first, and then the Matlocks decide, let's go see whose name is on the mailbox. Oh, what do you know? It's Stratford. So the Matlocks interview Roger regarding Claire. He says he doesn't know anything. He goes in his house. He goes in his apartment, I should say. And then within like a minute or so, there's a knock at the door. At this point, like I literally thought like when he was going to open it, it was going to be Claire. But he opens it, it's still Charlie and Ben. And they try to get some more words in, and he says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And they fight over shutting the door, Charlie and Roger, with the whole, so you don't know who Claire is? Shut up, I don't know, I told you, blah, 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 blah. And they kind of argue back and forth about it. So a little dash of comedy that we haven't quite seen yet in this episode, I would say.
Mm-hmm. This episode is a little bit more serious toned, but yeah, we see where Matlock gets his stubbornness from, or Ben gets his stubbornness from, because they're both Matlock.
Yes. So basically, Roger, they catch him because they get him so frustrated that Roger goes, "Mr. Matlock, I don't agree." And he's like, "How do you know my name?" "What?" "Oh, well, you wouldn't know my name unless you already, knew about the Mayfields." So basically, that's how they kind of got caught. All right. Because he claims he's never met the Mayfields, but of course, that would be the only way that he would, is if they knew who he was. So Claire and Roger, they get into an argument about, hey, look, this guy, Roger's saying, this guy he knows something. And she's like, he's an old man. Just shut up. Don't worry about it. Stick to the plan.
Just chill, man. Overconfident. She is overconfident.
Yeah, she uses her feminine wiles there to change the subject a little bit there with some smooches. So I did like this. I think that Charlie and Ben have a really good father-son moment at the garage that I thought was really good. Charlie believes Roger did it, but there's no proof. So as Charlie is reading the newspaper, he sees the obituary for Henry, and he gets a clue. So Charlie tells the sheriff his theory that the glasses worn by Henry are at the mansion. He saw them. They were there. He knocked them off the table and she put them back up on the table. She being, of course, Claire. He always wears his glasses. Even in the obituary picture, there's glasses. The glasses become the big sticking point. So we cut to a scene at the mansion where Ben is apologizing to Claire and saying, "Hey, I'm sorry that we kind of suggested you had something to do with it. Sorry about that." And she's, my bad. And she said, "Don't worry about the money for college. That's all taken care of." And they kind of say their goodbyes. So then we cut to Roger's place. There's a knock at the door. And he answers the door, and the sheriff is there along with Charlie. They have a warrant to search the premises. And so while the sheriff is searching, Charlie kind of talks with Roger and basically says, where was your alibi for the other night? He was like, "I was here alone with the radio." And then Charlie says, "Yeah, but the funny thing is you called in an order at a local restaurant around the corner, and they sent the delivery boy and nobody was home. And then they called, double-checked to make sure the order was correct, and no one answered the phone. So where were you, Roger? Where were you?" And so as soon as everybody gets wrapped up with the searching of the apartment, Roger ends up calling Claire, and he's just falling up to pieces. He's like, they're looking for Henry's glasses. Claire's like, don't worry about it, but he is just falling to pieces. And I got to be honest, at this point, and this does not happen, ladies and gentlemen, but at this point, I thought that maybe, just maybe, Roger might meet the business side of a 38 special. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I did too. I thought Roger was out.
I did.
He was being
Yeah,
eliminated.
I thought there somebody's going to knock on the door and pow, down you go, Raj. Down you go. Well, we cut to Roger's dressing room where Claire urges him, look, just hold on for a couple more days. Everything's fine. Don't let Charlie ruin things. And so Roger starts making drinks. And then while he's making the drinks behind his back, Claire puts Henry's glasses in a desk drawer. I'm going to say right here, right now, I thought that the episode was going to end with the reveal that Roger let that happen so he would frame her for it rather than, the other way around, where Claire goes to the cops. She reveals everything to Roger and pretty much kind of puts the blame on him. I think that we have a comment from Dan, so let's go to it here. I wonder if the lack of Conrad playing a character in the flashback was a nod by writers addressing the South's racial divide. You know what? I honestly, I can't speak for Jason, but I kind of figured that when there was no Conrad, it was because, unfortunately, historically, there would have been probably some friction there in Georgia with a black man asking questions to especially a very well-connected white family.
No, I just assumed it was one of the 5. It wasn't one of his 5 episodes this season.
Even that. There you go.
That didn't even cross my mind. I'm like, well, I guess he's not in this one.
So we cut to the mansion again. The sheriff knocks on the door, and they say Roger has been arrested and charged with murder. That's what the sheriff tells Claire. And Claire will be arrested as well, as she is part of the conspiracy. She's like, no, I had nothing to do with this. What are you talking about? And so the glasses are still the glasses showed up in the desk drawer in the dressing room of course, Roger. And so Charlie shows up and says, listen, we found them in Roger's dressing room, but they have my fingerprints on them. If they were with Roger, then they wouldn't have my fingerprints on them because they wouldn't have been here the other day when I knocked them off. They'd be with him. And since my fingerprints are on those glasses, that means that you had something to do with this crime. And then she goes to slap him, and Ben blocks the punch, blocks the slap, whatever. And then we find out as we cut back to the brunch with Julie and Ben that Claire was the woman in red, that she must have gotten out of prison. And so that's who that was. And then as they are leaving, another woman stops and says, are you Ben Matlock? And Julie shields him and says, no, I think you have him confused with somebody else. Nope. And we fade to black. And that is the episode, The Dame. All right, Jason, any notes? Anything you want to talk about real quick?
No, not really.
All right, then let's go ahead and get into our closing statements.
This is the part of the podcast where John and I will rate the show on a gavel system. 1 gavel means that we weren't super big fans. 5 gavels means we loved it. -87 gavels means we are going to Dark Sea Yarn. We're going to buy a bunch of yarn and we're going to knit sweaters for the rest of our lives. I give this episode 5 gavels because I really liked it. I did. I really dug. I thought Andy Griffith did a fantastic job with the portrayal of Ben's dad. I believed it was a different person, which is not easy to pull off, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, I believe Liz has a comment here. Let's get that up here, if you could, Justin, please. Protective Julie for the win. Yes. All right, so you're going with 5 gavels, huh?
I'm going 5 gavels. I really liked it.
Okay, I'm going 4 gavels. I liked it too. Like I said, I've already kind of tipped my hand on one of the complaints I had. Like, I love the black and white, but I also didn't like the black and white because, again, some of those night scenes were very difficult to see. I thought the acting was really good. Like, Sheree J. Wilson did a fantastic job. Steve Whitting, who played young Ben Matlock, did a great job. And yeah, I'll even give credit where credit is due. Andy did a really good job. Andy Griffith did a fantastic job of playing himself. Here's the other thing, though. Like, we just had like a period piece or a throwback episode, and now we have another one, like just like 2 or 3 episodes removed from that. The one, with the
that one, they're different. I see them as different. This is a flashback. Like, this stuff actually happened.
Okay.
Within the continuity of the show. I mean, this continuity is a loose term with the show, but
well, and I will also say this too. It's not uncommon back in the day for networks not to show things in correct order. That this could have been, the Dame could have been later in season 6, and they kind of fumbled with the schedule and moved it up some. I mean, there was notorious. I mean, NBC, I know for a fact, had done that with my beloved Homicide: Life on the Street, and Fox did it with all those different shows. Like Firefly and Serenity. Well, for Firefly and the X-Files and all that jazz. So I chalked it up to maybe that there was some shenanigans with the showing of the episode, but yeah, I liked it for overall, and I believe Daniel has a rating of his own that he'd like to give for April Stevens oil rigs.
Nice.
Okay, if we ever do a Dallas podcast, that's it. That's how we're rating things. Oil rigs. And I'd say I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it. Daniel, I was for a moment wondering how appropriate that comment was, because I'm like, what is she saying? What's he saying? All right. Liz also has a comment real quick, too. Season 6 is gimmicky AF, but this episode works for me. I also think they were written and shot in a radically different order than the air. Yeah, see, and I think that's right, Liz. That's what I chalk this up to, is that, yeah, executives probably didn't care what order they showed them in, because they are kind of their own separate entities. Other than, we will say, next week or the next time that we do this in 2 weeks, we have another extended version. It's 2 episodes is 1. Like I said, still a solid episode. So, all right, Jason, shall we start wrapping things up?
We shall, John. You guys can find me at 3GeeksJ, at 3Geeks Podcast, all social medias. I'm going down with the ship on TikTok, so you can follow me there, but all of my short reviews and stuff are still everywhere, so just check it out. I like reviewing movies and talking movies in the chats, so please comment. I like comments.
And what about 3 Geeks?
3 Geeks. I did promote 3 Geeks, but we're live on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Justin and I will be doing a live 3 Geeks from Orlando, Florida in just a few weeks, and that should be a lot of fun. Yeah, and the interviews start this week.
All right.
We have the new Zoo Review hosts that we interview, and they were awesome to talk to.
Hold on, Daniel says, I didn't say JR's oil rigs. That would have been inappropriate. Well, yeah, that probably would have been, Daniel. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dude, I was waiting for you to say we're live every Saturday. That's what I anticipate hearing from you. That's why anyways, I do pay attention to you.
I do want to take a serious moment, guys. LA's on fire. Mm-hmm. Hollywood, it's all disaster. It's not a political issue. It's a human issue. So please take time, check out the Red Cross, see where you can help. I know people out there in LA, and while my friend that I know personally is safe and he's in a good zone, but a lot of his friends, they're out of homes and so forth. So if you can, whatever you can do, whether it's sharing a link or donating a couple bucks, it all helps.
Yeah, and I second that, and I know that a lot of people have said, well, people in LA have a lot of money. There's all different types of people in LA, folks. I mean, there are people that are rich, there are people that are middle class, there are people that are low class, low on the socioeconomic scale. That shouldn't be an excuse for you not chipping in if you can, or helping in any way you can. I mean, look, we all have bills to pay. I get that, but there's ways that you can support that don't cost a lot of money, and it's horrible what goes on out there. And I mean, I feel bad for everybody that's impacted by this terrible, terrible tragedy. So yeah, I agree with you, Jason, most definitely. As for the PVD cast, ladies and gents, it's my own personal podcasting project. New episodes drop on Thursday at pvdcast.com or wherever you find great podcasts. Right now, this week's episode is the Bearded Comic Bro, a fellow podcaster from Columbus, Ohio, who has a great podcast where he sits down with a lot of different types of comic book creators. He's got some big names there. He's, some folks from DC, Marvel sat down and chatted with him, as well as the independent guys, as well as IDW crew and Boom and all of the different titles that are out there. So check it out if you're into comics. With that, anything else, Jason?
No, man.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. And as they say in court,
stay righteous, stay independent.
This is what I'm...